Yo, what up, Night Nation? This is Alan, and you're tuned into the UCF Football Updates podcast. Just want to do kind of an informal podcast today and do kind of the state of the union of UCF football right now. There's been a lot of action over the spring, and now as we enter the summer, there's been good action as well. And I think it's just a really exciting time. This has been one of the best, most stable off seasons we've had in a while. If you think about the last couple of years, we had the coaching and AD change last year. So that was all new. And then the off season before that was just kind of coming off of kind of a mediocre year for UCF. Heading into COVID that season, it was just not great. Last year was a lot of excitement, but there was obviously a lot of turnover just with the new staff and the new AD. This year, year two of the Gus Malzahn era, or I guess year two of the offseason of the Gus Malzahn era, there's a lot of stability. I think we've only lost, one coach. Kinney left to become a head coach at Incarnate Ward. And then obviously the same AD, and everything is kind of stabilizing. We're 1 year away from the Big 12. But I want to specifically talk about the team. We obviously had some big losses in the transfer portal. We did lose wide receiver Jalen Robinson. We obviously lost DG, our star quarterback. We lost Tatum Bethune, and we lost Cam Good. Those are probably like the big four losses that we had. Four of the better to best players on the team. But we've had 15 transfers come in. I think the total outgoing is around the same number. Like I said, those are the four big impact ones. There was a couple other ones notable. Titus went over to UCLA. A couple guys that left that were, rotational players, Amari Maxwell, some guys that played a little bit, but no massive guys other like those four that I mentioned. But Gus has done an outstanding job now 2 years in a row in the transfer portal since it was invented. I mean, he's just absolutely crushed it. Last year, he brought in major playmakers that were impact players on the team. Big Cat Bryant was all first team, and he was a transfer. Isaiah Bowser, obviously a star running back for us, even though he got injured. So we had a lot. He did really well. Then this year, he's absolutely crushed it. He's addressed pretty much all of our needs in the portal. With what do we need? We needed a wide receiver initially after Brandon Johnson graduated. He went out and got Kobe Hudson from Auburn, their leading wide receiver. We got Auburn, an SEC team's leading wide receiver, to jump to us. So this isn't a guy that was like out of playing time and, needed playing time and had to come over. No, we got, ostensibly their best receiver. We needed a lot of help on linebacker, defensive line. He went out and got Lee Hunter, great defensive tackle prospect from Auburn. He got multiple linebackers. Obviously, Terrence Lewis, everyone's excited about, from Maryland. KD McDaniel from Kentucky. So he went out and kind of filled that. And then we got a couple more linebackers since then. Quarterback, that was a big thing. Obviously, we had a couple transfers leave and Parker Navarro. And obviously DG, no bigger than that. He went out and got John Rice Plumlee from Ole Miss, an exciting quarterback, had a great freshman year before kind of transitioning to wide receiver. But he went out and really did an amazing job plugging the holes that we had on the team. I'm looking at some of the, other transfers, because there's been so many. Keymore Gamble, tight end. I counted it. He had like 6 SEC transfers come in. Most of these kids overall out of the 15 were Power 5. Offensive lineman got Ryan Swoboda, grad transfer from Virginia, excuse me. So I think what he did this offseason wasn't just like, oh, let's just go get this best collection of talent. Like, he got amazing talent, but did it at the positions we really needed. We needed a quarterback, got it. We probably needed 1 or 2 offensive linemen, got it. We needed a receiver, got it. When Jalen Robinson left, we needed another receiver, got it. We needed a tight end, he got it. We needed a couple tackles on defense, got it. We needed multiple linebackers, he got multiple linebackers. And then we didn't really need a DB, but he went and got Kobe Perry, who was one of the best DBs in FCS. But what I really liked is, even, as the transfer portal season kind of ended, you can't enter your name in after May 1st, or you are not eligible for, you're not eligible for the next season. And what he did was he was able to still find guys that had put their name in before that, Case in point is this Javon Baker. I kind of thought the portal season was going to be over. I thought we were done. Getting names after we had gotten Cameron Kinney, forgot about him, another offensive lineman he got from Georgia, another SEC prospect. I thought we were kind of done after that. Then, like I said, I was kind of feeling a little bit unsure about wide receiver. And then he went out and got Javon Baker, 4-star wide receiver prospect. Was, this is a guy that wasn't getting playing time, but no concerns there. He was behind John Mechie. He was behind Jameson Williams. I mean, he was behind first round NFL draft wide receivers. And he went out and got him. I mean, that was just the cherry on top of this offseason. Right now, where UCF is with the incoming talent we have, the freshman talent that he got, one of our best ever recruiting class on paper. We got 15 guys there out of high school. To go with the 15 incoming transfers that he has, a lot of Power 5, a lot of SEC guys. I think this is one of the best overall collections of talent UCF football has ever had, hands down. I think right now, the only years that I can think of that rival it are 2013 and then 17. And obviously those were two of our best years in school history with a lot of NFL guys. When you talk about just raw talent, former 4-star recruits, this might be the best ever, because those two teams didn't have any 4-star guys. The portal wasn't around back then. We groomed those guys. We found diamonds in the rough, and we had some high 3 stars. Frost got some good recruits, and as did O'Leary. But when you talk about the sheer talent that we've added, just a bunch of former 4-star guys that have just so much raw ability, like Javon Baker, like a Lee Hunter, like a John Rice Plumlee, to mix in with the raw talent that he brought out of high school, to mix in with even some of these transfers, they've done things already. It's not like they're all like a Terrence Lewis or a Javon Baker, where it's all kind of just potential based. Keymore Gamble, 4 touchdowns at Florida last year, has a lot of experience. John Rice Plumlee had that amazing freshman year at Ole Miss, right? Kobe Hudson was Auburn's best receiver. Kobe Perry was one of the top DBs in FCS. So we got plenty of experience to go with some of that raw talent. And I think this is arguably the best collection of talent we've ever had. And I mentioned this last night, skill position wise, I think this might be the best collection of talent we've ever had. It's hard to say that when you think of 2017 that had multiple NFL or pro wide receivers like Marlon Williams and Gabe Davis and Quan Smith. And then obviously Mackenzie Milton at quarterback, and then Adrian Killens and Otis Anderson and Greg McCrae, and the list goes on of that skill talent. But this is up there. I want to talk about today specifically the offense, because, all right, let's start. I'm going to get into quarterback, but let's get into running back. Our top 4 running backs, Isaiah Bowser, Johnny Richardson, Mark Anthony Richards, and RJ Harvey, those are all starting running back worthy players. Bowser, we already know, is a starter and balled out when he was healthy. Johnny Richardson came in and started when he went healthy, looked great, ended up being our leading rusher last year, tore it up. It was average, had, I think 6 yards a carry. He was great. Mark Anthony Richards came in a lot last year, had the key play that saved us against ECU to win the game in, I think, week 5 or week 6. Had some big catches, had some big runs for us, had a bunch of touchdowns last year. He was more of like that 3rd down bruiser type back, but he did really well. I think he's starter worthy, a former Auburn guy, former 4-star prospect. And then RJ Harvey, before he tore his ACL, was actually listed as our starting running back. So you have 4 starting caliber running backs. That's not even to mention guys like Trillian Coles, Xavier Townsend, some of the guys that, he's going to be a receiver, but there's one other, Jordan McDonald, that we got prospect wise coming in as well. That's not even mentioning them. They're going to be buried on the depth chart, and they're really good. So running back has 4 starting caliber players, and all of them are going to see time, and all of them are really good. So that right there can rival, I think, any of the running back talent we've had in school history. Wide receiver now is back and stocked up. You have Ryan O'Keefe, who's a bona fide number 1 superstar wide receiver, had, over 1,000 all-purpose yards last year, was a weapon, could rush, could catch, could throw the ball. I think he threw for 2 touchdowns last year. He was a quarterback in high school. Then our number two, no longer Jalen Robinson, but Kobe Hudson. I mean, he led Auburn in receiving. I think that's a great number two wide receiver who has the potential for being number one. You can put him out in slot. Maybe you put him out wide. I think he probably is better suited for the slot. Then the number three is, like I said in my post, it could be either Amari Johnson. It could be Javon Baker, the incoming Alabama wide receiver, or it could be Jalen Griffin, who doesn't have really any experience. He's a JUCO transfer, but everyone, Gus, the offensive, a bunch of the offensive coaches, all singled out Griffin. They all mentioned him and how good he looked in the spring. There's a lot of excitement about him. He's got a lot of athleticism. I don't care really who the third guy is. It could be any of those guys. It could be a rotation, a mix of those guys. They all have strengths. Baker comes in at 6'2". I think he could be that threat on the other side of O'Keefe. Perfect size, great. Need a big guy like that. Haven't had someone like that in a while. Griffin looks really good too, like I said. And then Amari Johnson, he's a senior. We forget he's kind of played every year at UCF. It's been in spot duty and it's not been full time. But last year he caught over 20 balls, had his best year, had a touchdown, a little over 200 yards. He's been talked about too. I think this is his year to break out. And he's also got, kick returning abilities and punt returning abilities. He's a burner. He's got speed out of Carroll City, Miami. I like him. And so you have that top five. And remember, just like I did with running backs, that's not even mentioning other guys. Deontay Marks transferred from the Gators, who we've forgot about. And he apparently looked good in spring. And he was injured a lot last year. I think he would have played. Jordan Johnson, a former 5-star wide receiver. He might not even be in the top five. And he's a former 5-star wide receiver. Does that mean he's a bust? I don't know, maybe. But you have that guy as a 6th or 7th. That's pretty damn good. Then on top of that, we have some really good incoming freshman wide receivers, Xavier Townsend, Quan, who everyone's excited about. I think a lot of people think he could play off the bat, immediately freshman year. And I think he will play right off the bat. I don't know if he's going to be, in the top 3, top 4, but we are absolutely loaded again at wide receiver. And it's so that skill talent. Then let's go to tight end. We haven't had a formidable kind of tight end group since probably 2018 when we had Kalubiale. And I think Franks was still on the team in 2018. And then 2017, we obviously had all three, Akins, Franks, and Kalubiale. Since then, it's been kind of weak at tight end. They've had some transfers come in, but Alec Holler really stepped up. Former walk-on last year. I think he was 5th on the team in both catches and yards. So we got him, who had a good year. He's coming back. You pair that with Florida transfer Keymore Gamble, who had 4 touchdowns last year for the Gators. We have a formidable tight end duo. So that's the skill talent. Like I said, I think it's top notch. Then the offensive line, we lose Cole Schneider, we lose Marcus Tatum, both all conference players, but we return Sam Jackson for as a 6-year senior. He's got experience. He's super versatile. They tried him out even at center in the spring. He can play really all 5 positions on the line, which is impressive. Then you obviously have the rest of Matt Lee at center, who has been all conference in the past. He's slated to be, I think he'll be on some preseason award lists. He's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to get some NFL looks too. He's got the size. He's got the talent. He's overcome some early struggles in the beginning of his UCF career. He looks good, right? So you have those two that are kind of anchoring the line, right? Then we have Swoboda, who came over from Virginia. Grad transfer, has about 5 years experience, has over 25 games started in the ACC. He could easily start, right? Then, of course, we have, I don't want to butcher this name too bad, but Loaki Paole, who's been all-conference second team last year. He's really good. So we have, 3 all-conference linemen potentially, maybe 4. And then that 5th one could be Talon Grable, the transfer we got from Jacksonville State on the left side of the line. It could also be Ed Collins, who started a couple of games last year and has proven himself to be reliable. So we got, 5 or 6 guys that are fairly reliable. You have Adrian Medley that will probably get rotated in. And then you talk about some of the transfers we brought in as well on the offensive line. Cameron Kinney, he might be pretty raw, but he's a Georgia guy. I mean, this guy is His measurable 6'3", 300 pounds. Okay. And he's a redshirt sophomore. So we have plenty of offensive line talent that came in. We had a couple other guys come in as well. I think I'm feeling really good about the line, better than I have in a little while, because of the transfers, because of the returning stability we've had. We've been excited about the line before, and they haven't looked good. Last couple of years, there are some, especially 2020, they're supposed to be a position of strength, and they weren't. But I like our offensive line coach. Everyone talks him up. Everyone talks up our O-line coach. I think we have the talent there. We have the returning guys. We have some transfers coming in. I'm excited about that. So that leaves us with quarterback. So O-line, tight end, wide receiver, running back, set, perfect, really good. It's very skillful, deep, everything you want. Quarterback it hinges on everything right there is the quarterback situation. Right now, I think the unanimous top three, really the only three, are obviously John Rice Plumlee, Mike Keene, and incoming freshman Thomas Castellanos. From what we've seen just through spring and early summer, Castellanos has that ability, has that athleticism, has that talent, but he's just too raw right now. I don't think he's fully picked up the playbook. If the season started to take, he's just not ready to be the starting quarterback of a team with high expectations. And that's okay. He's 18 years old. Then, so really you look at it, comes down to Plumlee and it comes down to Mikey Keene. So who's going to take over that role? We saw Keene, he was inconsistent last year. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He had trouble moving the offense sometimes. He wasn't great with his legs. He made some bad decisions, but he was a freshman, a true freshman. He was 18. And you know what? He threw 17 touchdowns against only 6 interceptions. It wasn't that bad. Under him, we still did pretty well. We still finished the season strong. We won more games than we lost. We won our bowl game under him. I don't pin that season on him. I pin that season on injuries. Losing DG, that was a massive blow to the year. And we know about the injuries. It's been talked about time and time again. Keene got a lot of flack, but how many true freshmen step in and just ball out right away? You don't see it that often. You have the Trevor Lawrences and Justin Fields and people like that, but Keene's a smaller guy, and I think he's more cerebral. I think he can be kind of like that Mackenzie Milton. He's not as athletic, but he's going to use his mind. He's going to use his skill set to his advantage. I'm not saying he's going to take the massive jump that Mackenzie took into year 2, but I've said this, we don't need, because of everything I just talked about, our skill players and our line, we don't need the number 1 quarterback in the conference or the country or whatever. We need a formidable quarterback. We need an above average quarterback, but that's it. And why can't Mikey Keene be that guy? Why can't John Rice Plumlee be that guy? Talk about Plumlee, little kind of opposite of Keene, all legs, right? In the sense of he's more known for his athleticism. We saw how he tore apart LSU's 2019 defense that won the national championship when he was at Ole Miss. The guy ran crazy. He ran for over 1,000 yards. He was like a running back as a quarterback. I don't think Ole Miss gave him a lot of opportunities to throw. Is that because he wasn't good enough, or they liked the packages with his feet better? A mixture of both. I don't know. Spring game, he threw 4 touchdowns for UCF. So a lot of people said, oh, that quiets the critics of his arm. I don't know. A spring game proves that. You're playing against your own team in your own stadium with pretty much very little pressure, except for maybe the pressure of the coaching staff and, the pressure you put on yourself. I don't know that proves much, but I also don't know that he doesn't have an arm. I don't think I've seen enough to be like, oh, he doesn't have an arm, right? Keene, you felt that there were a lot of ducks, a lot of flat throws, but again, he was a freshman, he can improve. You told me right now, gun to head, who do I think becomes the starter at quarterback for UCF football week 1? I think it's JRP. I'm using my head there, not my heart. And I'll tell you why, because coaches, especially offensive minded coaches like Gus Malzahn, who is our offensive coordinator, takes pride in offense. They love their own quarterbacks. They don't like using lame duck or the quarterback before their time there, unless they're just all-star ballers. Like I said, like with Josh had to use KZ. Of course he did. Gus had to use DG. Of course he did. I mean, those are all conference players. There was an easy decision. When it's a hard decision and it's someone that hasn't proven themselves like Mikey Keene, I think you do lean to JRP. That doesn't mean like, if Keene clearly beats him out, he's just going to pick JRP out of stubbornness or something like that. No, of course not. But I think he's going to favor JRP. And if JRP even shows the slightest bit more than Keene, I think he goes JRP. That doesn't mean it might not be a fluid situation. If JRP has a really good game week 1, then sucks 2 weeks in a row, I don't think this is a set in stone thing. Unless someone takes the job and runs with it. Fortunately, could be in a 2 QB system. I don't mean during the game. I don't mean like how last year was, where we had like Gatewood and Keene playing. I think Gus saw the mistake in that. I mean, like a lot of times that killed momentum when he would just like randomly bring in Gatewood for a series. It just made no sense a lot of the time. Like especially I think that game that we lost against Navy. But I think it could be changed by the game potentially. I don't know. You just haven't heard enough about Keene or JRP that makes you feel confidently be like, okay, that's the guy. It just hasn't happened yet. I think JRP did play better and was more notable in the spring game, but we still have a long way to go. We still have 3 months. I mean, a short way, but a long way. We have summer camp and then fall ball. And Gus isn't announcing that until maybe a week before, maybe 2 weeks before, because that's strategy. That's smart. He's just not going to do it. I think media and other people will start to, get film. They'll start to get some quotes, and maybe you'll see something sway one way or the other, and you'll get a general idea, but we're not going to be for sure until right before the season starts, right before week 1. And then also week 1, it's against an FCS opponent. I don't know how much that's going to prove either. I mean, look, you saw this. What about, a couple years ago, Brandon Wimbush and Dylan Gabriel obviously both look good against against FAMU. Didn't really prove anything. And the next week, DG was starting, and then, never looked back. I like homegrown guys that can develop. And that's why I like Keene. We recruited him, and you got to say whatever you feel about Heupel. He had an eye for quarterbacks. He did. I mean, he just did. He had an eye for quarterbacks. I think Keene played at one of the top high schools in the country in Chandler, Arizona, won multiple state championships. His high school coaches rave about him. And I understand high school and college football is not the same, but he was a stellar QB. He had some great seasons. And I think some of the criticism of him last year was a little bit unfair. Like everyone made it seem like he just flat out sucked. No, he threw for almost 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 6 picks, and won seven games. 7 out of 9. It wasn't. It wasn't a bad freshman year. It was just a freshman year. I think what people really mean is, did he show enough? Did he really show wow, he can make that leap? I don't think we saw that about KZ. KZ was booed off the field. And we can't keep comparing everything to KZ or any person for that matter. Just because one person did it doesn't mean the next person's going to do it. But I think he has the potential. I do. And whether it's him or JRP, they just need to be above average. They need to make plays. They do need to have the ability to win us some games. They don't need. It's not like we need more than a game manager, but we need less than a superstar. I mean, I would love them to turn into a superstar. We don't need Mackenzie Milton to win the conference next year. We have enough on all areas of the field. So that's what I'll say about quarterback. Otherwise, it's been a fantastic spring, a fantastic summer to start. A lot of excitement. We got the official word that UCF is going to the Big 12 for sure, 100% in 2023. We have the transfers coming in, the freshman class coming in, a lot of guys that enrolled early, no major injuries, knock on wood. The coaching staff looks great. No turnover, still got T-Will, obviously still have Gus. Terry Mohajir's making moves for us at the AD. The football team is looking good. I think this is one of the most exciting years that we've had, or one of the most hyped up years we've had in quite some time, and for good reason. The talent is there. The consistency is there. It's year 2 of Gus. Everyone knows their role. Everyone's talking about that. The quotes that we're getting from the players, Devontae Brown, a lot of guys have said that they feel that this is a special year. Devontae Brown said we could win all of our games. Multiple guys have talked about how good they think the offense can be, one of the top in the country, how good they think the defense can be. That's another thing we'll talk about. Offense wasn't good last year. When all the injuries happened and DG went down and Keene came in, the offense was bad. It was really bad. We're scoring sometimes 20 points a game. I don't think we're ever under Gus ever going to be, like Heupel or Frost. We should be in the high 30s next year scoring per game with the offense we have. I don't care, unless you're just so defensive minded. Like Gus is an offensive guy. We're scoring high 30s next year in our conference. We are. I'd be shocked if it wasn't high 30s, maybe low 40s. And it should be that. And there'd be plenty of games where we may even score more in the 50s. The defense, which dramatically improved in year 1 or 2, should be even better this year. I didn't even talk about the defense. I don't want to get too much into that today because it's already been going on pretty long. But the state of the union is it's looking good. Conference-wise, clearly the top 3 are the Big 12 incoming guys: Cincinnati, Houston, and us. The top 3 and we don't play Houston. We do play Cincy at home. Our schedule is lining up nicely. All of the toughest games are at home besides, like Memphis. 9 out of 12 games are in Florida. We only have 3 true road games because FAU and USF are in Florida. So 3 true road games. So right now I feel really good about UCF football. The next podcast, maybe I'll go more into the defense, but I'm excited. We're less than 3 months away. And I think with everything that's happened with the transfer portal, this roster is lining up and is more complete than any team I've seen since probably 2018. Because that, had a lot of carryover from the 2017 roster. So charge on, go Knights.